Okay, second round starting. We have 2 red cards, no red mana. We do have a Trumpeter, which is a good card, but it's not even great in our deck. We don't have that many +1/+1 counters in our deck. The fact that we have reasonable mana and any attune gets us red for a turn 3 Planeswalker and a potential Harness Lightning makes this a questionable keep, but possible. We do have a turn 3 play, but it's not very good on defense, so it won't stabilize us. So this is a risky keep. But I've heard from quite a few folks that in Sealed, you should just keep 7 a lot more often than in other formats. Like, this hand is not great, but it's got lands, it's got spells, and I think we just keep it. If any red source in this hand is actually pretty good. And we have, I think, 5 red sources in the deck between 2 attunes and 3 mountains, or it might be 2 mountains. But Servant of Conduit and Aether Hub also count. Okay, this makes the draw a lot better. I forgot about the Outriders in this deck, so those go really well with the Trumpeter. So turn 3 Trumpeter, turn 4 Outrider is pretty nice. The fact that our opponent's not playing anything is good for us. Means they probably have removal in hand, but at least we're not under pressure. We could just die to a turn 3 Freighter, but we don't. Aether Theorist would have been nice last turn. Putting a counter on since we want our Trumpeter to get bigger. Fortunately, this means that we can't block the Ibex all that well. I mean, we can if we double block, but that walks into some removal, which I don't think we would do. Alright, so they did have removal in hand, which is kind of what we figured. I feel like we have to trade at this point. We don't have any other way to make this Trumpeter bigger, so I don't think this is getting any better for us. This Ibex is going to be a real pain, though. Impeccable timing. Well, no red mana. Greedy deck, getting punished. Can't make any good blocks here. Taking 1,000,000 damage. And a Harrier to follow up. This is not good for us. That's one red mana, which means this Harness Lightning is going to do some work. But what do we kill? I guess the Ibex. Well, if we draw a red source, the Gearhulk is going to stabilize on the ground. So we just want to kill the Harrier, I suppose. But we're still going to have to chump block, I think, here, and try to find that last mountain or an attune. Man, pretty good follow-up. Opponent didn't do anything for a couple of turns, and then they just completely crushed us. So we have to block the 4/4. We can kill this. We go to 1, so we don't have any outs regardless. We can just concede this game. rather than show our opponent a Harness Lightning. I think I'm okay with our build. Let's see. Saw a decent amount of artifacts, not that we can do anything about it. I'm not going to bring in Creeping Mold for Chief of the Foundry. Though we don't have a ton of removal for it. We have Harness Lightning, and that's really it. We have to get out on the board earlier and put our opponent under pressure in this game, because we don't have a ton of removal to answer the threats that they've got going on. I could see boarding into the white deck. This hand's actually very good. Something more consistent, like the I forget what our backup deck was. Black white splashing green, green white splashing black. Yeah, green white splashing black. Because the white gives us a little bit more removal and a better curve, so we might want to just switch into that in game 3, especially on the draw. See how this game plays out. Alright, so our mana's looking good at least. Ninth Bridge Patrol. Well, I'm happy to see that one. It's never been good for me. Hopefully we don't just lose to it now, but I think we're going to be okay. I'm actually going to attack this turn rather than play the Outrider, because I want to play the Trumpeter, then play the Outrider, and then we'll have Artisan plus Harness Lightning. Assume this means impeccable timing. So we're not blocking here, but we're also not going to attack next turn. We weren't planning to attack with the Servant anyway. And we'll wait until the Trumpeter gets to be a 4/4 before we can attack. So we'll play the Outrider. Gets a counter. And then we make a 3/3 end of turn. Ibex is not an issue. I don't know that I want to use this Harness Lightning. Guess we just attack for 4, let our Trumpeter grow. Yeah, that's a better target for us. I guess we can't do that until we untap. Oh, right. My bad. I don't know why I tapped the Servant there. So if we see a double block, we can melt down, and that'll let us tap the Servant for mana. Otherwise, we can just play the Outrider. So I want to kill the Ninth Bridge Patrol, I think. Alright, so that one worked out a bit better. We had a really good start there on the play. On the draw, I still haven't seen a reason, I don't think, to go into our backup deck. It is more evasive, so we can, ignore things like the Ibex a bit better. And we have Revokes as better removal. Just don't know that our opponent's game one curve out was like the typical draw from them. That just seemed like a more aggressive draw than average. So I think I'd rather keep our 3-color game plan here. Well, having Servant in our opening hand is going to help our mana quite a bit. Our mana is still not great here, but I think on the draw we're okay keeping this. I think this Trumpeter is going to be a lightning rod for our opponent's removal based on the way the game played out. And last game was pretty much the best case scenario for this Trumpeter, so if it gets killed, I don't think it's actually that bad for us. Yeah, so this does eat a Die Young right away. And really wish we had that Servant. It's going to hurt us quite a bit not having removal for that Fairgrounds Warden. Our deck is so light on actual answers to that. It's going to be an issue. The fact that we've only drawn Forest, well, I guess we drew Aether Hub, so I can't complain about that. But definitely seeing the shortcoming of our mana base. Hopefully we have enough time to draw out of it, but this Barge is going to do a lot of work. Even if we draw a land for the Charger, we don't have enough power to crew it at the moment. I guess we have to scry on upkeep. We just really need to be able to do something this turn. Island. Does that do anything? The only thing it really does is lets us play Saheeli, which is not great. If we play Charger this turn, I guess that's good enough. I mean, it fixes our mana, so we need to keep it. We're really looking for a red source. We want a Tune or a Mountain. If we play Charger this turn, then we can start activating. Well, actually, we should just be activating Oshaya here. Yeah. We need to just start making creatures. And if we make a 3/3 this turn, that'll let us crew the Charger for next turn. And it seems pretty clear that they don't have removal for Ovia. We've seen Skywheeler Shot and Impeccable Timing, so not many answers in our opponent's deck probably that can actually deal with an Ovia. They already used the Die Young on the Trumpeter, which was the benefit of the way that Game 2 played out that I was talking about in our opening hand. It's kind of paying off for us now. Hopefully they don't have an artifact. Right now they can't attack with the trafficker unless they want to sacrifice the barge. But if they play a cheap artifact, then they can attack with both. This is kind of a critical turn, because if we take 5, go to 9, but we get to make a 3/3, we can start running away with the game with the Ovaya activations. But if we take a lot more damage this turn, it's going to be tough. Freighter. Alright, so this is a lot of vehicles. So far we don't see a ton of creatures on our opponent's side to crew them. But they have 4 cards in hand still, and we just don't have a lot of removal. So the crew will come eventually. Buys us a little bit of time, though. I don't think we need to scry anymore with the Theorist. We don't need to do it on upkeep, at least, because we have 5 mana now, so we at least have plays to make. We can use it as a blocker if we need it, and then scry on our opponent's end step. Not the land we're hoping for. It does mean that we can play... We could play Saheeli if we wanted to. It doesn't do anything. There's nothing for us to really copy. We could get a scry off. That's about it if we copied the Theorist. Maybe it's worth playing the Charger this turn. And we can chump block with the Construct on the barge, and we can use the Charger to brick wall the Freighter. The Charger, threatens to eat anything that our opponent attacks with. So it could stabilize us all by itself, and I think that's worth it. Taking 1 turn off to play a 6/6 hopefully stabilizes the board, and then we can go back to activating Ovaya after that. What we're hoping not to see is a flyer. Like if they play the Harrier this turn, use that to crew, they can... Well, I guess they can't really make any attacks because of the Charger. But it makes their next turn pretty good because they have an evasive threat, which we have no answer to at the moment. We'll have to get a red source for the Stalker if that happens. Okay, this lets them trade, I guess. But we're going to be forced to take this trade. It's not that bad for us because the barge we can always block with Ovaya tokens, just making 1/1s. This we can't chump, so we have to just go ahead and trade the charger for the freighter here. Removal spell now would be bad. Alright. Well, I think we need to... I don't really want to take this damage, because if we go to 3, that puts us into a really tough spot. Do not need a forest. Yeah, the fact we have to chump block every turn means we're just never going to gain ground against our opponent's board. Yeah, Island was not the land we needed to see. We're going to have to scry with Saheeli and hope that it draws some attention from our opponent. Use it to fog, hopefully find a red source here, bottom that, play the land, and then we'll be able to make a 1/1, which is going to chump. But the Chief is going to kill us. Oh, and a Master Trinketeer? Yeah, we're just super dead now. And we stumbled on our mana for too long, and we don't have hard removal in this deck, which is just going to fold to all of these lords that our opponent has. Really getting our turn 2 servant killed is what ended up killing us this game. If it weren't for that, we would have actually played all of our powerful spells and stabilized this board many turns ago. Alright, that happens.